Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. So you clicked on this video and you thought to yourself, okay, I'd like to know how to catch rats and mice the easy way, and I'm going to share all my experiences on catching rats and mice. And you know, when it comes down to it, well, it's not luck. You have to actually plan these things out, and for me, catching them on the inside of your house is completely different than catching them on the outside. You want to catch them on the outside so they don't go on the inside, right? So let's go over to the bench here. Let's take a look and I'll show you what's going on and how this is my proven method of catching mice and rats. Very successful at it, and I have very little mice or rats around my place anymore since I've been doing this. Well, the first thing I would say is, if you're interested in getting rid of your mice and rats, remember, you'll never get rid of all of them forever, but you have to maintain your traps, and you'll find out that, well, I can go for a month or so without ever catching something. Sometimes I went 2 months, but you know what? Most people don't know they even have mice and rats around until, well, they run into a problem where they can't start their car in the morning because the rats have chewed the wiring right off their engine harness, or they burrowed themselves into your sheds or inside your house, and that's what you don't want. So let's just take a look at some traps. Now, I use these up at my camp in Northern Ontario inside my loft. The Victor traps, they're very cheap. You can buy a box of, well, I think it comes in 4, and I paid like $4. Like I bought them a little while ago, right? And these are only for mice, only for indoors. They work fantastic. These are rat traps, only for rats, and they are deadly. They work very good, but they're only good for rats. You can't use them for mice, only for rats. And then I am going to show you this one here. This is the one that I use all the time now. It is by far the best that I've seen. And we got a little bit of a box going on here, and I'm just going to build this box with you and show you the whole idea behind it. Now, this is leftover PVC I had from a previous project. For those who been watching the channel, you'll know what this is from. And I prefer the PVC to any other material because it lasts forever. Now, you can make this particular item out of just regular wood, fence boards, whatever you want. I mean, it's only to catch mice and rats. And if we take a good look in there, you could see what I've done. And I got the mouse rat trap in there. And you can see what I've done, and I'm going to show you the reason behind that. This is a new and improved version that I've been experimenting with. And I tried different colors. Mice and rats don't care about the color of anything, to tell you the truth, except the inside. If it's nice and bright, well, it'll help you out when you're finding out if there's something in the trap or not. And I'll show you a couple of tips there. And then I'm going to show you my favorite baits that I use for the traps, and it makes a huge difference. So let's get started and let's build this first. And the reason why I put them in a box is so you don't catch nothing else. I've never caught birds. I don't catch squirrels or chipmunks or anything else. I've never had a problem with that. I'm going to show you my baits. I only have 2 baits, and one is from the spring to the fall, and the other one is from the fall to the spring. And so far, it's been working out great for me. So let's get started right now. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is drill a hole. You can see where this is the outline of the side of the trap, and these are the jaws underneath here. And we are just going to drill a hole roughly about there. And let's do it. Well, that didn't go too good, did it? Okay, let's just tighten this up a bit. This time we'll go a little bit slower. There we go. Okay, now let's go over to the bench and let's start nailing this together. Okay, so I'm just using some glue on here, regular construction glue or white carpenter's glue. This right here. And on my brad nailer, all I've got is 18 gauge, and they're 1 3/8. But it's punching into this material because it's so soft, like a good distance. So all I'm going to do is just put maybe 4 or 5 here, and that's it. So now we'll go on to the other side. Okay, so let's just set this one up. You don't got to be that picky. Come on, we're building it for mice and rats. So, you know, this is a very simple thing to do. I mean, you could use screws, you can get your hammer out with some nails. I've just got this, so I use it. So let's go on. We got the 2 sides built. Now we'll go on to the back. Okay, so here's the backs. Doesn't matter if you're using the textured side or the smooth side. Just put it on anyway, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, okay, so I'll just hold that just for a second. And this is the benefit of these brad nails, is just the setup time is just next to nothing, right? Fire in 3 there, and just kind of line it up on this side. Three there, and that's it. Now, what we got to do is I got to put this little filler piece in here. So I'll put the filler piece in. I'll show you how that's done. So here's the filler piece. Just put this in here. Like I say, it doesn't matter what. To me, I don't care what side I'm using. I'm not that picky. I just want to get it done, right? Throw in 3 there. Now we got to move on to the top. Okay, so there's the top. All I'm going to do is just slide it in. Now I am going to give you the dimensions of all of this because that does make a difference. And you could, I'm going to bring this over here like this. Now you see I'm just using hand fit there. And then I'll put it down flat and then we'll start nailing. Okay, I'll just fire in 1 here. Then I'll come out to this side and just bring it over so it sits right as flush as I can. I mean, come on. Right there is good. And then we're just going to fire some in there. And then we're going to flip it over. And you could see how easy that's coming together. I mean, the total time on building this is like next to nothing, right? Especially if you got like a brad nailer. Oh, I'm going to have to fix that one. There you go. Okay, so now I'll bring you back after that's kind of dried up a bit. And then we'll move on to the whole idea of the traps and the bait. Well, you're looking at the box with the trap inside. And you can just barely see the trap in there, right? Okay, so let's come back with my improvement on the trap so that at a distance you can tell whether that trap is sprung or whether it's still in the set position ready to be sprung. Okay, so that is a huge improvement so that when you're looking at this at a distance, you can definitely see that when the trap is sprung, you're going to know it now, right? Now there's the front view of the trap that's been sprung, and you can see that there's a marker on there too. I'm going to show you exactly what I did and how effective this can be rather than having to bend down and lift up the box all the time to see if the trap has been sprung. Well, as you can see, all I did was I took some of this Quick Stick by Markall, and it's a paint marker, and I just go along here. This dries to the touch. It's not going to stay wet all the time, but you can use anything you want here. Even a white highlighter would work fine, but I picked the yellow, just put it on the top here, and that's a huge identifier that you can tell when the trap has been sprung. So now let's go on to the baits, and I'm going to show you exactly what to use for baits and The first thing I have to do before then is I get so many questions about this particular trap. I don't put links in below for this particular trap because like I buy them on Amazon and I buy them and then next thing you know 2 weeks later no longer available, but they're sold on another site off of Amazon by third-party sellers. But I am going to show you exactly the difference between the small ones like I showed before, the Victor traps, and this one. So let's do some measurements, because if you go on Amazon you go looking for these, they're going to show you the small ones, and I want to show you the difference between the small ones and the big ones, and then I'll show you the dimensions of the box. Okay, so the whole idea behind this trap is you got to make it so that it fits inside the box, no problem. Like I'm about maybe 1/4 of an inch away from the top and 1/4 of an inch away from both sides. So the interior of this box, the width from inside to inside is 3.5 inches. And the total height is 4 3/4, and the total length is 13 inches. And of course I used the standard stock, which is 1x4, which is 3.5. So the inside is actually 3.5 across, and it makes it perfect. So the exterior of the box is a little over 5 1/8 wide. And the whole idea is that it fits inside here and it goes all the way to the end. So when you're putting the trap together, you just put it like this and put it over top and then just drag it forward a bit so you can see the arm in there, right? Okay, so the dimensions on the trap, because if you go searching on Amazon, they are going to show you some traps that are smaller. Now this one here, 3 inches across, and let's measure the width here and the length. So I got around 5.5. So it's 5.5 long and 3 inches wide. Now there's some on Amazon, man, they're only half the size of this. This is good for mice and rats, and I've caught both many times. And next let's go on to the baits, because that's probably the most important, and I'm going to show you what I use from the spring to the fall first. Okay, so from the bottom side of the trap you can take this little pod out. It just unscrews, comes out of the back of the trap, and all I do from the spring to the fall is I get a little bit of peanut butter, like just a little bit, and put it in here, and then I use freeze-dried, just cheap dollar store peanuts, just 1 peanut on the top. Now I'm going to show you, since it is the winter time, what I use from the fall to the spring. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly what I use from the fall to the spring, and it's this right here, bacon grease. I just save the bacon grease. I'll load this one up because I'm putting this outside right after I finish filming. Is I just take a little dollop like this. I put it in like this, and then I get the peanut. And I just place the peanut inside like this. Now, what will happen? It's cold outside, right? It will congeal a bit around the peanut, and it makes it like pretty stiff, but they love this bait, and they have to really work at it to get it out, and that's how you catch them every time. So that's what it looks like after the bait has been put in and the trap has been set. And the great thing about these traps is, well, once the trap has been set, like take for instance, now the trap is going to unspring, and you could see how it's unsprung there. Now I'll turn the trap sideways. Now imagine you've got a mouse or a rat in there. You don't have to go near the mouse or the rat. I just bring it over, open up the jaws, the mouse or rat will fall out and you dispose of it. And it's as simple as that. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope this has been informative for you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I would say this is a nice little fun project, that you can do out in your shop, with basic tools, and you don't have to use the PVC. You can just use regular, like fence boards or whatever you have available. This is all scrap for me, and it'll last a lifetime. So thanks for joining me here today, and come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're quite welcome to subscribe and see some interesting things that you might not see somewhere else. Cheers.